It's December 4th today, am I right? The events we're talking about are January 26, 2009. We feel that the caucus is united in this, entirely united, that this government has made a massive strategic mistake with the autumn statement last week, but it's got steadily worse. They've taken a crisis of confidence in the House of Commons and made the fatal mistake of turning it into a crisis of national unity, setting one section of the country against the other, calling members of Parliament, in effect, traitors. I don't frankly care what they say of me, but a Prime Minister can't do that. It's unacceptable. The Prime Minister's job is to unite Canadians, bring them together, and not fan the flames of discord with any province. C'est absolument fondamental dans notre démocratie.
Absolutely fundamental in our democracy that the Prime Minister tried to unite people, bring them together, rather than fanning the flames with words that insult parliamentarians and create divisions between Canadians.
And I can't tell what the Governor-General said, and I have the greatest respect for her office. But I think it's reasonable to suppose that in those 2 hours she said, have a think, Mr. Prime Minister, have a think. And let me just finish. But if she said that to the Prime Minister, she said that to every politician in the country. And therefore, on the 26th of January and in the period leading up to it, we will think responsibly and thoughtfully about the challenges we face. But it's an unusual thing to do in a caucus, and I respect confidentiality. But I think it's worth evoking one moment in the caucus, and I do so with the permission of Scott Sims, my colleague and friend. He pointed out to the caucus that today in his hometown, 1,000 people have just lost their jobs. When you hear something like that from a fellow colleague and friend, you understand what really matters. And if we forget that for a second, if the entire political class of our country forgets the people in Grand Falls, Windsor, we will be unworthy of the trust that the public has put in us. And that's the message that this caucus is deeply conscious of. And so I think we can all guarantee that in the weeks ahead and up until the January 26th, we will be thinking hard and understanding the responsibility we owe to those 1,000 men and women who just lost their jobs today.
Part of that responsibility tool to use to get where you're talking about going.
It's the only tool that's got us anywhere. There's absolutely no question that the Prime Minister would not have walked back down, as he admitted today, from partisan, divisive policies had he not been faced with a very credible weapon of dissuasion. And I want to make it clear that this caucus is as one in maintaining the credibility of that dissuasive instrument. Il faut ajouter, we will maintain the possibility of reaching out, but you cannot get this government to listen and respond unless the government is perfectly certain of the unity of purpose of this caucus.
Monsieur Ignatieff,
Oui.
En français.
Oui.
Vous êtes à l'aise, Michael Ignatieff, avec cette idée de coalition? Et si oui, est-ce que vous êtes à l'aise avec...
Are you comfortable with the idea of a coalition? And if so, are you comfortable with the idea of Mr. Dion leading it? Well, my answer will be the same. In order to change government policy, there must be absolute unity within the Liberal caucus in order for Mr. Harper to rethink his policy before January 26th. And I fully agree with the rest of the caucus on that proposition.
Mr. Karagianis has engaged in action that it seems to me is, I choose my words carefully, extremely disappointing. And his characterization of what happened in Caucus is entirely wrong, entirely wrong. Let me make that clear. This caucus is 76 men and women striving to be worthy of the hour. There isn't a person back there who isn't aware that we are facing the most serious political crisis, constitutional crisis, and economic crisis this country has faced since the 1930s. Every single one of us is aware of the seriousness of this. Every single one of us is trying to rise to the expectations which Canadians have of us. And Mr. Karagianis' characterizations of these discussions today is unworthy of the caucus to which he belongs.
You say you all have to have a thing. You say you have the responsibility to Canadians to remember what's going on. Why don't you have, or do you believe you have, the responsibility to Canadians to consider whether another leader might be in a better position to sell the coalition?
The questions of leadership are not of the hour. We have a leader. His name is Stéphane Dion.
Monsieur Ignatieff, vous dites qu'il faut une unité absolue. J'ai compris ce que vous avez dit à propos
You say there has to be absolute unity. But the fact is that it is clear there is not absolute unity. Well, dear friends, we are all human beings. We aren't perfect. We are not Aristotle. We are ordinary people elected by the taxpayers of this country. And sometimes we make minor errors. But I'm confident in the absolute unity of the country. And I just want to go back to what I said about my friend, Mr. Sims. That is what really counts. The fact that in a small town in Newfoundland, 1,000 people have lost their jobs while we're in the midst of these discussions. That is what is really important. We have to be true to those people. And we will be true to those people. Thank you very much.